Alright, today we're going to take our next step in solving equations, okay, and that's called combining like terms, or putting together things that are the same. Okay, so the first thing I need you to know is that the term terms. Okay, and the words for that is parts of an addition or subtraction problem. Okay, so some examples of what that might look like are things like 4 plus 6x, or minus 3 plus x. You'll notice that each one of these has different parts. Okay, so on this first one you'll have the 4 and the positive 6x. So you have two different terms or parts of one expression. If you were to look at the other one, of course you have negative 3 as one term and your positive x as the other term. Okay, remember your operator to the left of your number or term always goes with it. Okay, so that's how those are identified. Okay, so those are what terms are, just different parts of a bigger problem. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples and identify how many terms they might have. Okay, so for example, on this first one, and I'll do them all in different colors, our first term would be 27. Then we have a positive 8x, and we have a negative 1/2. Okay, so over here on the left side, we have 3 terms. Okay, and if we're to look at the other side, let's change the color again, we'll change it to yellow. If you look at the other side, it has 1 term. Okay, so in total this thing has 4 terms. So that's how you identify terms. Let's try one more of those. Okay, so on the left side, like I was saying, you have 1 term, you have 2 terms. Always include the operator to the left. And on the right side, you have 1 term, 2 terms. Okay, so you always need to learn how to differentiate the difference between terms. Okay, so when you're solving equations, you need to know what can be added together and what can't be. Okay, this is very important to know. Okay, so there are 3 different types. There's same variable, there's same exponent, and the same type of integers or numbers that are similar that you can add on the same side of an equation. Okay, so an example of same variable, things that can be added together. It could be things like x and 4x. Okay, they both have the same variable. You can add them up and you would get, 5x right there. Okay, you have another type which have the same exponent. If you have something that has the same exponent and the same base, you can add them together. An example of that would be 12y squared and 3y squared. Okay, so if you happen to have the same base and the same exponent, you can add those terms together. Now, sometimes you'll have ones that are on the same side of the equation that are just numbers or fractions or integers. So if you have things like 1/2 or 7 or 3/2, whatever it might be, you can add all of those different numbers together if they're on the same side of the equation. Okay, so if you have same variable, same exponent, or same side of equation, you can add them together. Alright, okay, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples of how we can add like terms together, or circle things that we know we can add together. Okay, so on this example 1, on the left side, we see that 27 and negative 1/2 are numbers on the same side of the equation. Well, we can go ahead and add those together. If we look at the next example, we have 5 plus 3x equals 22 minus 79x. Well, can we add anything together? We don't have any of the same variable, we don't have any of the same exponent, and we don't have just any numbers that we can add together. Okay, so there's no like terms in that one. And I won't torture you with this guy too much. Okay, but on this guy, On the left side of the equation, we have a positive 9x, and we have a negative 40x that goes together that we could combine. And on the right side of the equation, we could have our 22x and our negative 10x go together. We could combine those. We could also combine negative 7/9 and positive 5. Okay, so those things could be added together and we could solve the equation. So I'm just kind of giving you a basic idea of things that you can add together with like terms. Okay. There are two big terms that you need to know in this section. The first is coefficient. Okay, and a coefficient is a number multiplied by a variable, and the number is in front of the letter. So some examples would be 87x, or negative 9.4x, or even 1x. Your coefficient is always going to be the number located in front of your variable. Okay, so that is what a coefficient is. Now, combining like terms, you're going to add the coefficient and leave the variable the same. Okay, so for example, if you had 1x and you subtracted 4x, you're always going to leave the variable the same, but the coefficients might change. So what is 1 minus 4? Well, of course, that's negative 3. So your number, your coefficient can change, but your variable is always going to stay the same. Okay, let's say if you had one with the same exponents. You could have 12y squared plus 3y squared. Okay, well, your variable is going to stay the same, but your coefficient might change. So 12 plus 3 is going to give you 15, but your variable will very much stay the same. Okay, so there's just a few example variables. Alright, so when you're solving equations, we've talked about how to distribute. We've talked about how to undo multiplication and addition, or multiplication and division, and subtraction or addition. Okay, so we've got those three steps that we've learned, and then the next step we're going to add in is combine like terms. Okay, so we're just going to practice a few of those. Okay, so I'm going to do this by color. We're going to group things that are the same that can be added together, and then we'll go ahead and simplify them. Okay, so let's look for things that can be added together on the left side. Well, we see that the 4x and the positive 3x can be added together, and nothing else is similar. We can't add it. It has to be on the same side of the equation. Okay, so if we have 4x's and we add 3 more x's, that gives us 7x. Then we write the rest of our equation. Okay, so now we're back to our two-step of equations that we've learned in the past. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve that. We want to undo subtraction with addition. So we add 6 to both sides. Those 6 cancel. And we have 7x equals 16. And then, of course, we want to undo that multiplication with division. So our x would equal 16/7. So like we talked about the other day, it's okay to have a fraction answer. That doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay, you just have to be a little bit comfortable with that. Okay, so that's our first example of combining like terms. Let's try another one. Okay, so once again, let's look for things that are similar. They're common. You can combine them. We have the x's that we can combine. And remember to always include the operator to the left. And then you have your just common numbers that we can add together. Okay, so let's go ahead and write out our entire equation. So we have 48 equals, let's add our x's together. If you have negative 3x and you subtract 8 more x's, take negative 3 minus 8 on your calculator, that would give you negative 11 x's. And then if you go ahead and look at your 14 and you add 1, that gives you 15. So we're just combining everything that we know. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. We're going to undo addition with subtraction. So that gives you 33 equals negative 11x. And then, of course, undo multiplication with division. And if you do that, x equals negative 3. Okay, so all we're doing is putting things together that are the same and then solving two-step equations like we have been. Okay, so all you're doing is combining things that are the same and then solving two-step equations like we've been doing. Okay, so there's two examples for you. Alright. Okay, I want you guys by yourself to go ahead and combine these. You're not solving an equation, you're just putting things together that are the same. Alright, we're going to do one more example and then we will call her quits. Okay, so once again we're going to group the things that are the same. So we have the x's and we have the normal integers over here. And we're going to go ahead and add them together. So you have a negative x and you add 4x. Well, that's going to give you 3x's. And then you have your regular numbers, which are 8, and you're going to subtract 10 from that, which gives you negative 2. Okay, so we can go ahead and write that out. Our new equation would be 10 equals 3x minus 2. Okay, and that once again gives you a two-step equation that you can go ahead and solve. So let's go ahead and solve that. We're going to undo subtraction with addition. Those 2's cancel out. And we get 12 equals 3x. And then, of course, our last step is to undo that multiplication between the 3 and the x with division. Those 3's cancel out, and we get x equals 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so all you're doing to give us another step is to add things together, combine things that are the same. Okay, we got a couple of different problems down here that I would like you to look at. Okay, but all we're doing today is combining like terms. Peace.